8 people, including 7 kids, are hurt after a school van crashed with a semi-truck in western Minnesota. It happened near Benson around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. That is in Swift County. From Sky 4, we could see the damage. The superintendent of Hancock Public School District says the van was taking 7 kids home from school at the time. The woman who was driving the van, along with all 7 students, were taken to the hospital. The kids ranged in age from 8 to 16. At least 2 students were moved on to other healthcare facilities. Swift County Sheriff John Holt says the man driving the semi-truck was not hurt. The crash remains under investigation.
The search is on for those involved in sending deadly package bombs to homes in Austin, Texas over the past 2 weeks. This was the scene after a second package went off just yesterday. A woman was injured after it exploded when she picked it up. Earlier in the day, an explosion killed a teenage boy and injured an adult woman. Investigators believe the 2 cases are linked to a third that happened in the city earlier in the month. A 39-year-old man was killed in that bombing.
We will leave no stone unturned because we are not going to allow this to go on in our city.
I have my grandchildren that like to play outside, and then for them to pick up a box and this happens, it's scary.
All 3 bombings happened on Austin's east side, a predominantly minority and historically African-American part of town. Officials say the devices were powerful enough to cause damage inside the home, and they did show a certain amount of sophistication. So far, officials have not ruled out the possibility this may be a case of terrorism or a hate crime. Texas Governor Greg Abbott now offering a $15,000 reward for information leading to an arrest.
Voters in Pennsylvania's 18th district head to the polls today in a special congressional election. Republican Rick Saccone is locked in a tight race with Democrat Connor Lamb to fill the open House seat. President Donald Trump won that district by 20 points in 2016. The president flies to California today to view prototypes for a possible border wall. The development comes just a day after Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee released a report saying they found no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. The Senate committee investigating Russia is expected to release its report in the coming weeks. Neighborhoods across the Twin Cities are changing.
And some say that is not always a good thing. Longtime residents of now up-and-coming areas could be getting forced out. That was one finding of the University of Minnesota research project looking at changes in 5 neighborhoods in Minneapolis and in St. Paul. Those neighborhoods are being revitalized, but possibly at a detriment to some people who live there. WCCO's Jeff Wagner talked with the researchers and some homeowners about gentrification.
From breweries to eclectic shops and art studios, Northeast Minneapolis has become a destination for renters and new homeowners.
Been living in Northeast around 10 years, but owned the house almost 5.
And in that span, Molly Meyer has seen growth, such as her home's property value, but she feels the change isn't always for the better.
One thing that we really honored about Northeast was the diversity and all the different types of people who lived here, the artists, the creativity that Northeast was kind of always brought out in people, and when the pricing goes up, then those people can't afford to live here.
In the 5 areas identified in the U of M's gentrification research, every resident interviewed listed affordability as a top concern. Researcher Dr. Brittany Lewis says they're worried about being displaced.
And they see lots of newcomers and new families that don't look like them, higher incomes, higher education. They are in fear of their inability to stay and become owners.
According to Zillow.com, this home in the Willard Hay neighborhood of North Minneapolis was valued at $72,000 in June of 2012. Today, it's valued at $165,000.
We want folks that are historic to neighborhoods who have built cultural, social, and economic connections to be able to stay.
Dr. Lewis told Jeff many of the neighborhoods that might be next for gentrification are immediately near those that were identified in the research. So she's hoping that her findings encourage city leaders in both Minneapolis and St. Paul to better understand the culture and needs of those neighborhoods before allowing big changes to happen.